surviving. You ain't saying nothing. I'm trying to watch football. I'm not trying to be live right now. You cannot go live and not tell somebody you're going live.
He do it all the time. You know I don't care.
I ain't even watched my face. She went and put on some makeup and everything.
You a lie and a half.
Why your lips shining?
This is Cormex.
That's good. I didn't get a chance to do none of that.
Look at my eyebrows. I need to put on stuff. You need some Cormex?
I need to get my makeup on, brush my hair, everything like you did.
What's Cormex?
November 6th, 2021. Just before 9 p.m., Sandy Springs, Georgia. The emergency dispatcher's phone rings. On the other end, a woman's voice delivers words that would stop any 911 operator cold. I just shot my husband. The caller is 44-year-old Kiana Burns. She's reporting her own crime. What happens next defies every protocol, every expectation, every assumption about how these situations unfold. Most perpetrators flee, some deny, others make excuses. But Kiana Burns does something that leaves even experienced responders stunned. She calls for help after committing murder, then waits. The 911 call is brief. Kiana provides her address on Valley Hall Drive. She confirms what she's done. She requests police assistance to respond to their home. After reporting that she's killed 46-year-old Ronell Burns, her husband of 9 years, she turns the gun on herself. Sandy Springs police officers arrive to find a scene that contradicts everything they thought they knew about domestic homicides. 2 bodies, 1 weapon, and the most confusing element of all, the perpetrator had actively summoned law enforcement to witness what she'd done. Inside the home, officers find Ronell Burns deceased from a gunshot wound. Kiana lies nearby, critically injured but still breathing. Emergency medical personnel immediately begin life-saving measures, working frantically to stabilize her. Despite their efforts, she succumbs to her self-inflicted injuries. The sequence is unprecedented. Kiana shoots Ronell, immediately calls 911 to report it, then shoots herself. This action suggests a moment of profound internal conflict. The desperate cry for help, a final attempt to involve external authority, or even a form of confession. It indicates awareness and perhaps regret in her final moments, rather than a purely impulsive act. The weapon lies between them. The evidence aligns with Kiana's own admission. There's no mystery about who pulled the trigger. The mystery lies in understanding why someone would commit murder, then immediately summon the very people who would investigate their crime. But here's what makes this case even more extraordinary. Every single one of the couple's 8 children was safely away from the home. Not by coincidence. Not by luck. By design. All 8 kids were with a relative at the time of the deaths. This wasn't a spontaneous decision. The arrangements had been made in advance. Kiana had ensured that none of her children would witness what was about to unfold. Police confirmed that no other individuals, particularly the couple's 8 children, were present in the home during the incident. The children were safely with a relative, a detail that suggests deliberate prior arrangement. This detail transforms the entire narrative. This wasn't a crime of passion that erupted without thought. The deliberate protection of the children suggests premeditation, planning, and even in her darkest hour, a mother's instinct to shield her kids from trauma. The investigation reveals crucial context. Police publicly stated there was no prior record of domestic violence at the family's home. No history of domestic violence calls to this address. No previous reports of conflict requiring police intervention. The forensic timeline becomes crucial. Hours before the shooting, Kiana posted a video of herself singing and dancing with one of her children, presenting an image of joy that completely contradicted the impending tragedy. The video shows both laughing and enjoying each other's company. The contrast is staggering. From posting joyful family content to committing unthinkable violence in a matter of hours. How does someone transition from documented happiness to such devastating actions? The primary evidence that immediately established the nature of the event was Kiana Burns' own 911 call. Her direct report that she had shot her husband, followed by her self-inflicted gunshot wound, provided clear and undeniable evidence to investigators regarding the sequence of events and the individuals involved. Upon their arrival, Sandy Springs police detectives confirmed the scene aligned precisely with a murder-suicide scenario. The presence of both bodies within the home and the single weapon used corroborated Kiana's 911 statement, leaving little ambiguity about what transpired. In a murder-suicide case where the perpetrator is deceased and identified by their own actions, there is no pursuit or catching in the traditional investigative sense. The most significant development was Kiana's own 911 call immediately following the shooting of Ronell. This direct self-report, coupled with the immediate police response and scene confirmation, provided all necessary information for authorities to establish the facts. There was no trial or criminal sentence in this case, as it was officially ruled a murder-suicide. Kiana Burns, identified as the perpetrator, died by suicide immediately after shooting Ronell Burns, thus precluding any legal proceedings. The investigation had to rely heavily on the immediate evidence at the scene, personal communications, and testimonials from those who knew the couple, rather than a documented history of conflict. Yet questions remain that evidence can't answer. Why does someone plan their children's safety, commit murder, call police, then take their own life? What drives a person to such extraordinary actions? Before we continue exploring what led to this tragic night, I want to hear from you. Have you ever encountered a true crime case that completely challenged your assumptions about how these situations unfold? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to subscribe. We're going deep into cases that don't have simple explanations, and your engagement helps me know these stories matter to you. The 911 recording becomes the case's most haunting piece of evidence, not for its content, but for its implications. Kiana Renee Burns entered the world on September 15, 1977, in St. Louis, Missouri, born into a family that would shape her into the resilient woman she'd become. Raised by her mother, Renee Reed, and her stepfathers, Carlton Graham and Patrick Rico White, Kiana's childhood was marked by strong family bonds and multiple father figures who contributed to her upbringing. Growing up in the Riverview Gardens School District, Kiana discovered her passion early. While other teenagers were uncertain about their futures, she had found her calling in cosmetology. This wasn't just a career choice, it was an art form that would define nearly 2.5 decades of her life. After completing her degree in cosmetology, Kiana transformed her skills into something remarkable. She established Critique Design's beauty and barber salon, a business that became far more than just another neighborhood salon. For nearly 25 years, this establishment served as the cornerstone of her professional identity and a testament to her entrepreneurial spirit. The salon wasn't just a business, it was a community hub where Kiana's personality truly flourished. Clients didn't just come for haircuts and styling, they came for the experience of being in Kiana's presence. Her natural ability to make people feel valued and beautiful extended far beyond technical skills with scissors and styling tools. Those who knew Kiana personally paint a portrait of someone whose character ran much deeper than professional success. Friends and family consistently described her as a devoted wife, a nurturing and loving mother, an encourager of women, a good friend, and a great businesswoman. These weren't empty platitudes spoken at memorial services. They reflected the genuine impact she had on everyone around her. Rowena Terry, one of Kiana's closest friends, captured the essence of who she was. To know this couple, Kiana Burns and Ronell Burns, you had no choice but to love them. They were selfless, loving, and caring. They lit up any room they walked in, motivational to others, and only wanted to change the world. But perhaps Kiana's most defining role was as a mother. Not just to her biological children, but to an entire blended family that she helped create and nurture. Her maternal instincts extended to 8 children: Rhea Burns, Ronell R.J. Burns Jr., Riley Burns, Mecky Combs, Ray Haley Burns, Jacha Martin, Mariana Reed, and Ryan Burns. She also cherished her role as grandmother to Malaya Salik. Managing a household of 8 children requires extraordinary organizational skills, patience, and emotional intelligence. Friends observed how Kiana seamlessly balanced the complex dynamics of a large blended family, ensuring each child felt valued and loved regardless of their biological origins. She understood that being a stepmother meant choosing love daily, not just accepting it as a given. Her approach to motherhood went beyond basic care and provision. Kiana was described as an encourager of women, a trait that extended to how she raised her daughters. She instilled confidence, independence, and strength in the young women under her care, while teaching her sons respect and responsibility. The cosmetology business allowed Kiana to model entrepreneurship for her children. They watched their mother build something from nothing, maintain client relationships for decades, and create financial stability through her own skills and determination. This wasn't just career success. It was a masterclass in self-reliance and business acumen that she passed on to the next generation. Kiana's impact rippled through her community in ways that extended far beyond her immediate family. Clients became friends. Friends became extended family. Her salon served as an informal counseling center where women shared their struggles, celebrated their victories, and found encouragement during difficult times. Her role as an encourager of women wasn't limited to professional settings. Kiana had an intuitive understanding of what women needed to hear during their lowest moments. She possessed the rare ability to provide honest feedback while still building people up, to challenge others to grow while offering unwavering support. The longevity of her salon, nearly 25 years, speaks to more than just business skills. In an industry known for high turnover and fierce competition, Kiana built something lasting. Clients didn't just return because of her technical abilities. They returned because of who she was as a person. Her friends consistently emphasized her selfless nature. In an era of increasing self-focus, Kiana operated from a place of genuine concern for others. She celebrated other people's successes without jealousy, offered help without expecting reciprocation, and provided emotional support without keeping score. The profound grief expressed by friends after her death revealed the depth of relationships she'd cultivated. These weren't superficial connections built on convenience or proximity. Kiana had invested genuine time, energy, and emotional resources into creating meaningful bonds with the people around her. Her ability to light up any room they walked in wasn't just charisma. It was authentic warmth that made people feel seen and valued. In a world where many interactions feel transactional, Kiana offered something increasingly rare: genuine human connection. The woman who friends remember was someone who approached life with optimism, treated others with kindness, and maintained unwavering dedication to her family and community. She represented the best of what it means to be a mother, friend, businesswoman, and community member. This was the Kiana Burns that St. Louis knew for 44 years, before the devastating events that would overshadow her legacy. Ronell Burns was 46 years old when his life ended, but the man who died that November evening carried with him a complicated history of relationships that painted a very different picture from the successful husband and father the public knew. 8 years before his death, Ronell found himself in an unexpected spotlight, not for business success or community involvement, but as a contestant on Divorce Court. The daytime television show, known for airing real marital disputes before a television judge, featured Ronell during his separation from his first wife. The courtroom drama revealed a man dealing with serious relationship conflicts. During the televised proceeding, Ronell accused his first wife of infidelity. She countered with her own accusations, claiming he had cheated on her and damaged her credit history. The public nature of their dispute provided a window into Ronell's approach to handling marital problems through confrontation, blame, and ultimately legal separation. But perhaps more revealing was what Ronell himself admitted years later in a YouTube video. Speaking candidly about his relationship with Kiana, he made a confession that would prove significant in understanding their marriage dynamics. "We decided we was going to get a divorce, that we didn't want to be with each other no more. We were just done with each other." This admission shattered any illusion of a perfect union. Here was a man who had not only experienced the breakdown of his first marriage, but had also reached a point with Kiana where divorce seemed like the only solution. The precise timing of this consideration remains unclear, but the fact that he spoke about it publicly suggests it was a significant period in their relationship. The pattern emerging from Ronell's relationship history reveals a man who struggled with long-term marital stability. His first marriage ended in public accusations and legal proceedings. His second marriage to Kiana had reached a breaking point, serious enough that both parties considered ending it permanently. What makes this particularly striking is how completely this contradicted their public image. Friends and community members consistently described them as selfless, loving, and caring, people who lit up any room they walked in. The disconnect between private struggles and public perception was vast. Ronell's approach to conflict resolution appeared to follow a pattern. Rather than private counseling or quiet separation, his marital problems became public spectacles. The divorce court appearance demonstrated his willingness to air personal grievances before television audiences. His YouTube confession about considering divorce from Kiana showed a similar tendency toward public revelation of private matters. This pattern suggests someone who either couldn't or wouldn't handle relationship problems through traditional private means. Whether this stemmed from a need for validation, a desire for public vindication, or simply poor judgment in handling personal matters, it created a troubling precedent for how serious issues were addressed in his relationships. The fact that Ronell and Kiana worked through their divorce consideration and remained married indicates they had found some way to reconcile their differences. However, the underlying issues that brought them to that breaking point may never have been fully resolved. Relationship counselors often warn that couples who consider divorce but don't address root causes frequently find themselves facing the same problems repeatedly. Friends who knew the couple described Ronell as down-to-earth, humble, and motivational to others. These qualities made him well-liked in their community and contributed to the power couple image he and Kiana cultivated. Yet these same friends seemed unaware of the serious marital struggles that had occurred beneath the surface. The contradiction between Ronell's public persona and his private relationship challenges highlights a common issue among couples who build their identity around success and achievement. The pressure to maintain an image of perfection can prevent honest discussion of real problems, forcing couples to either suffer in silence or address issues in inappropriate public forums. Ronell's documented history with marital conflict raises questions about the stability of his relationship foundation with Kiana. While they had clearly moved past their divorce consideration, the underlying dynamics that created such serious problems may have remained dormant rather than resolved. If you're finding this case as complex as I am, hit that like button and share where you're watching from. It helps me know this content is reaching people who appreciate deep, thoughtful true crime analysis. The absence of domestic violence reports to their home doesn't negate the significance of their documented relationship struggles. Many couples experience serious marital problems without police involvement. The fact that both Ronell and Kiana had reached a point where they didn't want to be with each other no more suggests conflicts that ran deeper than typical disagreements. Understanding Ronell's relationship patterns becomes crucial when examining what happened in their final months together. A man who had already navigated one failed marriage and had seriously considered ending his second was potentially operating from a place of relationship instability rather than the solid partnership their friends observed. The timing of when Ronell and Kiana considered divorce remains significant. If it occurred recently, it would suggest ongoing unresolved tensions. If it happened years earlier, it might indicate they had successfully worked through their problems, or simply learned to manage them without resolution. What emerges is a portrait of a man whose relationship history was far more complicated than his public image suggested, setting the stage for understanding how private struggles could coexist with public success. 6 months before that fatal November evening, Kiana and Ronell Burns made a decision that would prove more destructive than they could have imagined. They packed up their lives in St. Louis, Missouri, gathered their 8 children, and moved to Atlanta, Georgia, chasing dreams of business expansion and new opportunities. The relocation was ambitious. They planned to grow their involvement with Primerica Insurance and expand their 6-figure ambition platform, a venture dedicated to empowering others in business. On paper, the move made perfect sense. Atlanta offered more opportunities, a larger market, and the potential for significant financial growth. But reality proved far harsher than their business projections suggested. The stress of relocating an entire family, 8 children ranging from elementary age to teenagers, while simultaneously attempting to expand multiple business ventures, created pressures that began eating away at Kiana's mental stability. The logistical nightmare of new schools, new neighborhoods, new social circles, combined with the demands of establishing their businesses in an unfamiliar market, proved overwhelming. Kiana openly discussed the difficulty of adjusting to life in Georgia. What had seemed like an exciting fresh start quickly became a source of constant strain. The familiar support systems she'd built over decades in St. Louis were gone. The community connections that had sustained her through previous challenges no longer existed. By October 2021, cracks in Kiana's emotional state became visible to anyone paying attention to her social media presence. Her online activity, which had previously showcased success and positivity, began reflecting something much darker. On October 23rd, just 2 weeks before her death, Kiana posted words that should have served as an alarm. "God knows I would do anything to wake up from this nightmare." The post revealed a woman trapped in circumstances that felt inescapable, desperately seeking relief from pressures that had become unbearable. But her most haunting public plea came on October 30th, exactly 1 week before she would take 2 lives. During a Facebook Live session, Kiana looked directly into her camera and spoke words that now seem like a final desperate attempt to reach for help. "I'm asking you one thing, because I really need it right now. I need prayer. I need prayer. I need strength. I need love. Pray for me." The raw vulnerability in her voice, the direct eye contact with her audience, the specific requests for prayer, strength, and love, all indicated someone drowning in emotional distress. This wasn't a casual request for good thoughts. This was a woman publicly acknowledging that she was struggling to survive whatever battles she was fighting internally. During that same Facebook Live session, Kiana shared something that would prove prophetic. Things in your life can change for the good or the bad overnight. Literally. And if you don't feel like you are a strong enough individual, some things may take you out. These words take on devastating significance in hindsight. Kiana was openly admitting that she questioned her own strength to handle life's pressures. She was essentially warning her audience, and perhaps herself, that people can reach breaking points where circumstances become lethal. The timing of these posts reveals a woman in rapid mental decline. October 23rd's nightmare post, October 30th's desperate plea for prayer and strength. Then silence until November 6th's final social media post, the video of her dancing with her child, posted just hours before the murders. Kiana also openly admitted to experiencing gloomy days during this period. She expressed gratitude for support from her online community, suggesting that the encouragement from followers provided some measure of comfort during her darkest moments. Yet clearly, the support wasn't enough to address the underlying issues that were consuming her. The business pressures compounded every other stress factor. Managing multiple ventures while adjusting to a new city, caring for 8 children, and dealing with whatever marital tensions existed with Ronell created a perfect storm of overwhelming responsibilities. The financial pressures of expansion, combined with the practical challenges of establishing new client bases and business relationships, added economic stress to emotional turmoil. The relocation had effectively isolated Kiana from her established support networks at the exact moment when she needed them most. The friends who might have recognized her distress, the family members who could have provided immediate help, the professional contacts who understood her business challenges, all were hundreds of miles away in Missouri. What makes Kiana's public cries for help particularly tragic is their specificity. She wasn't making vague requests for thoughts and prayers. She was explicitly asking for strength, love, and prayer, while simultaneously acknowledging her own vulnerability. She was essentially announcing that she was in danger of being taken out by life's pressures. The stark contrast between her October posts and her November 6th dancing video suggests either a brief moment of genuine joy with her child or a final attempt to project normalcy before committing an irreversible act. The 3-hour gap between that joyful video and the 911 call represents the most crucial period in understanding what finally pushed her past the point of no return. By November 6th, 6 months of mounting pressures, public pleas for help, admitted vulnerability, and acknowledged struggles had reached their inevitable conclusion. The woman who had warned that some things may take you out had reached the breaking point she'd feared. In the immediate aftermath of November 6th, 8 children found themselves orphaned in a single night. Raya Burns, Ronell, R.J. Burns Jr., Riley Burns, Mecky Combs, Ray Haley Burns, Jacha Martin, Mariana Reed, and Ryan Burns, along with grandchild Malaya Salik, faced a reality no child should ever confront. Their world had been completely destroyed, but salvation came from an unexpected source: their aunt, Denise. Without hesitation, Denise stepped forward to take responsibility for all 8 children. This wasn't a temporary arrangement or a reluctant obligation. It was a complete life transformation undertaken out of love and family loyalty. Eventually, she would adopt them all, legally cementing her commitment to honoring what Kiana would have wanted. But the reality of suddenly becoming a single parent to 8 traumatized children proved more challenging than anyone could have anticipated. Denise's own words reveal the crushing weight of her new reality. "I haven't had a chance to grieve for Kiana because I have to be on the go all the time with the kids." This statement exposes a harsh truth about tragedy's aftermath that rarely gets discussed. While the community mourned, while friends processed their shock, while investigators closed their files, one woman found herself unable to experience her own grief. The immediate needs of 8 children, their trauma, their questions, their daily care, completely consumed every moment of her existence. The children's ages ranged from elementary school through teenagers, meaning Denise wasn't just managing basic care. She was navigating homework help, teenage emotions, younger children's nightmares, therapy appointments, school conferences, and the complex task of helping each child process an incomprehensible loss. Each child grieved differently, at different paces, requiring individualized attention that stretched her emotional and physical resources to their limits. The financial burden was staggering. Overnight, Denise's household expenses multiplied exponentially. 8 sets of school supplies, clothing, food, medical care, extracurricular activities. The practical costs of raising a large family fell entirely on her shoulders. While community support provided some assistance, the long-term financial responsibility remained hers alone. Beyond the immediate family, the tragedy sent shockwaves through the broader community that had known and loved Kiana and Ronell. Friends struggled to reconcile the couple they thought they knew with the devastating reality of what had occurred. The cognitive dissonance of mourning people who had died in such circumstances created a unique form of complicated grief. Rowena Terry and other close friends found themselves questioning their own perceptions. How had they missed the severity of Kiana's struggles? Could they have done something different? The guilt and self-doubt experienced by those who loved the couple added another layer of community trauma that extended far beyond the immediate family. The case highlighted a disturbing phenomenon of modern life: the inadequacy of social media as a platform for genuine crisis intervention. Kiana had used Facebook Live to explicitly ask for prayer, strength, and love. She had posted about experiencing nightmares and gloomy days. Her pleas were public, visible, and specific. Yet somehow, this visibility failed to translate into effective real-world intervention. This raises uncomfortable questions about how communities respond to cries for help in the digital age. When someone posts about struggling, what responsibility do friends, family, and followers bear? How do we distinguish between normal life complaints and genuine crisis situations? Kiana's case suggests that even explicit requests for help can be overlooked or inadequately addressed when dispersed through social media platforms. The tragedy also illuminated the particular pressures faced by people who build public personas around success and achievement. Kiana and Ronell had cultivated an image as a power couple. successful entrepreneurs with a beautiful family and enviable lifestyle. The pressure to maintain this image may have prevented them from seeking the professional help they desperately needed. Mental health professionals point to this case as an example of how success can become a trap. When your identity is built around being strong, capable, and inspirational to others, admitting vulnerability becomes exponentially more difficult. The fear of disappointing followers, losing business credibility, or damaging carefully constructed reputations can prevent people from accessing potentially life-saving resources. Despite the immense trauma and ongoing challenges, Denise remains determined to honor Kiana's memory through her dedication to the children. Her words reflect both exhaustion and unwavering commitment. They're wonderful, they're great, they're going to be fine. I'm going to be fine, and I'll see her again someday. This statement reveals the complex emotional reality of survivors. Denise maintains hope and positivity for the children's sake while acknowledging her own faith-based belief that death isn't permanent separation. Her strength becomes a living tribute to the woman she lost. The children's recovery continues as an ongoing process. Each milestone, birthdays, holidays, graduations, carries the weight of absence alongside celebration. Yet under Denise's care, they're learning that love can persist beyond tragedy, that families can be rebuilt even after devastating loss. This case shows us that behind every successful facade, real people face real struggles. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help. What are your thoughts on how we can better recognize when someone's cry for help is real? Share your insights below, subscribe for more cases that matter, and remember, it's okay not to be okay. The Burns family's legacy lives on through 8 children who are learning to build new lives from the ashes of unimaginable loss.